Hey guys, this is Kenjiro and welcome to another Make Shot Pro video. So recently I've been kind of dabbling around with colorizing black and white photographs, and in the whole process of doing that I've learned a lot of things, a lot of different aspects of skin quality in terms of its color, and just how to replicate that when you don't have a reference. So I'm going to go over a few details about that and then explain just some of the approaches that I have taken and reference some of the videos that you've seen me post on time lapses for colorizing different images, but also just sharing some other approaches and just comparing this type of skin tone that all of them produce. All right, so let's get to it. So the first thing I'd like to do is just bring up this diagram to lay the foundation for what we're going to talk about in regards to comparing the color quality of skin as we're trying to replicate it in a black and white image. So the key components here are a hue, a saturation, and a value, where as you can see in this diagram here, which I found from Wikipedia, the hue represents sort of like which color on the spectrum. The saturation is how strong or vibrant is that color, and the value is just the lightness, or you'll hear me say luminance, from pure black going all the way up to the fully white if you're talking about the middle, or the brightest version of that color if you're talking about the outer edges. So using that as a framework, if we look at just an average picture, which I got off of Pexels, of a person with pretty consistent skin tone, and if we were to do an analysis of just say this like cheek region here, and take a look at the hue, saturation, and value plot. This is a 3D plot, but we're looking at it from a pretty steep angle, so it's almost like a 2D, but there's that skin area, and what we'll notice by looking at this is that you'll see that even in this seemingly consistent area of skin, that there is a pretty broad spectrum of different hues, and it spreads across a lot of saturation. So it's kind of like this nice grid. Like I'd say there's at least 14, 15 different hues represented here, and quite a number of different points of saturation. The lightness value is all just based on how bright or dark from the different parts of the image they are, and we're not as concerned about that because the black and white image is going to provide that. The black and white image provides the value, but the real question is how do we replicate this with whatever technique we're going to use? So a fairly typical approach to colorizing a black and white image is to simply just put a single color on a new layer and then change that blend layer to color or possibly color legacy, and then bringing up the hue, saturation, and lightness tool and then adjusting the parameters real time, and you can see it and it's nice and fluid until the skin tone is roughly what you want it to be. When you project this and maybe colorize the entire image, you get something that looks okay. It looks pretty good. I would kind of say that it's passable in my own opinion, and it kind of is on the borderline of the uncanny valley. But it's simple and it gets you a solution pretty quick. So now let's take a look at the hue, saturation, and value plot of this approach. And if we take just the little square, that's a full skin patch of that image, this is applying the single hue color blend. And if you look at the hue, saturation, and value, what you'll notice is there is hardly any spread of data here, and for good reason, right? All we've done is taken a single color and just applied it through the values, and you can see it kind of follows a curve, and somehow we've managed to kind of spread across maybe three different hues, even though we kind of did the overlay, but primarily all of the data is here, whereas by comparison with the real skin photo, we had 14, we had like double, or actually double, a lot more hue than what we see. So let's now look at an approach that I made a video for that is gives us something in between. So recently I created a time-lapse video where I showed how I created this image. And if you watched closely, what you'll notice is I had essentially created a gradient or a material, if you will, that represented the skin spectrum, if you will. So you can see how, I had black and white at the end, but then I had three different distinct colors that were all in like related skin, nature, but were three had three different hues and three different luminances to them. And I blended all of them into a nice seamless sort of gradient. So then what I was able to do was feed that into a Python script, which mapped the values of that gradient to the luminance points on the image, on the black and white image. So it would look at the black and white image and say, if it's a dark pixel, then I'm going to give it this color. If it's a mid-range pixel luminance value, I'm going to give it this color. And if it's a bright pixel, then I'm going to give it this color, and then fill in all the pixels in between. And what that produces is something that looks like this. Now, when you just look at this image, it looks like something equivalent to a colorize, but where it's all the same hue on a single black and white image, but it's got a little bit more complexity to it. And if we were to look at the hue, saturation, and value of that same cheek area on the face when it's generated this way, we can see that distinct stair step of the color gradient as it changes. And what we have is a little bit more spread of hue and definitely more spread of saturation, right? Whereas in the previous just single color, we had a nice strong line. Here it's kind of spread across in a more diagonal fashion, and there's a little bit of spread of hue even at the low end here. So now if we were to visually just compare those two approaches, we can see how on this side we have that single hue color blend layer, and then on this side we have the gradient material mapped to luminance, and everything else is the same. The jacket, the background, the hair, all of those are processed the same way. The only difference between these two sides is how the skin is being handled. And in my opinion, the left side has sort of like this just very pasty kind of artificial look to it. The right side is not perfect. It definitely could also improve. It could benefit from a lot more hue variance, but it definitely has a more healthy, natural feel to it. Now, I also created another time lapse video where I was trying to apply the same sort of idea of the mapping of hues, of different hues to luminance, but without a Python script. I hadn't actually written it at the time. And the other way that you can approach this and get a very similar effect, although it's a much more manual and it's much more intensive, is to create three different regions of luminance from your image using luminance masks. And so what you'll see here in this particular example is I have the background, I have the lows, which have just a mask pretty much around her whole figure. So it basically is kind of catching everything at the bottom, and it has a particular color. So you can see by turning it off the effect of removing that color in the lows. Then I have a region for the mids, and you can see that that mask has like a majority of the skin area, doesn't quite cover the shadows as much, and definitely doesn't cover the highlights, and it has its own color. And if I were to remove that, you can see she becomes much more pale. She loses a lot of that sort of warmth in her skin because it covers that region. Then at the highs, we have yet again another mask, but this mask is much more restricted in terms of the area that it covers. It's only the brightest parts, and it has its own color as well. And then when you remove that, this one is much more subtle, but it definitely kind of adds a little bit of different color to the very top end. And the key here is that it's a matter of creating copies and luminance masks of the same image, but then applying contrast to each of the masks to try to restrict the region that you want to have that color. So you can see I applied levels to this one to really isolate only the brightest parts of her skin. In the same way, for the mids, I had to kind of cap the top end but bring up the bottom. So really, it's kind of like increasing contrast to reduce that region. And then once again, the lows is just meant to catch everything that's not masked, essentially. So this is the same effect as what the Python script generates, except that you don't have to use the Python script, and it's much more manual because you have to both figure out your colors and you have to fine tune your masks. But in that sense, it gives you the most level of control. It just takes a heck of a lot longer. So I did want to also mention that there are some pretty good artificial intelligence tools out there on the web that you can use that can do a pretty good job. I wouldn't say that it like kind of is a one click and produces an amazing image, but it definitely could be a starting point that'll save you a lot of time by comparison to doing some of the methods that I talked about previously. One in particular that I've tried and I thought the output was pretty good was colorize.sg. You can go to their website and you can upload a photo and it'll produce a colorized version in a matter of seconds. So, in looking at the figure of the man that we've been running all of our tests on, this is the output from the Colorize SG tool. So you can see, there's definitely some parts of it that are good. There's definitely some parts of it that aren't that great, like the eyes, for example. But considering that the program has no knowledge of what the image is, except for whatever has been fed to it in the past, when I look at this, I see a pretty good identification of the fact that there's skin, there's clothes, and there's like reasonable colors for what we're looking at. It definitely has a feel like as if the clarify tool was run on it maybe a little too strongly. But we can also take a look at its profile, its hue saturation value profile, and what's hard to see, but if I were able to rotate this, it'd be a little bit more obvious, is that there is a very good saturation and luminance value spread all across a single hue. So this is very similar to the this is very similar to the single color, blend layer approach, which we saw in the beginning, which sort of had that like pasty feel to it. But I believe the AI version has a little bit more fidelity to it because it spreads across the saturation spectrum greater than that single color just blended across the entire luminance spectrum. So if we look at all the plots of the hue saturation and value at the same time, what can we understand? Well, for sure, the key to real looking skin is that you have to have a significant amount of variance in both hue and saturation. And that all of the approaches that we have at least identified here so far all fall short significantly in one way or another. What we also see is that different types of variants, whether it be more focused on saturation and value or hue, that it's going to produce a different kind of effect. And personally, I think the multi hue has a tendency to look more natural, as you can see, it definitely still falls short of what real skin looks like. So, in the end, you have a lot of different avenues to go about trying to colorize a photo. And really, which one you take is dependent a whole lot on how much effort you want to put into it, whether you're willing to work with Python, ultimately, what kind of look you're willing to, be satisfied with, and also how much time you have. Because some of these approaches are definitely faster than others. It's really just a matter of factoring all those different attributes and determining what is the best path for you. So that's it for me. I hope you guys were able to learn a lot, and I hope you're able to try out some of these things. I'll provide links to some of the other time-lapse videos as well as some blog posts that will introduce you to Python and help you find some of the scripts that I've generated to make some of these activities easier and faster. And if you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment. And if you like the content and you want to be notified of when newer stuff is created, feel free to subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.